This video was voted on by my patrons in August for Patrons Pick. If you're interested in voting for September, head on over to my Patreon now to take a vote.
Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and welcome to another Pokemon review. Yeah, we're going to head on back to some of those because I feel like this year is going to be very strong for Gen 4, and I've got a whole lot to share with you. I really do hope that we're going to have some fun this year, okay? So originally voted on to just be the Jakks, Dialga, and Palkia, we're also going to be taking a look at the Giratina as well. These originally boxed 8-inch figures essentially launched alongside the games that these Pokemon are the mascots of. Now, with that being said, in the current year, 2021, yep, we now have remakes of Diamond and Pearl coming out. There are a lot of collectors who are picking up the stuff from Wicked Cool Toys or Jazzwares, some of the new stuff, the Figma releases, the Nendoroids, and they're sort of circling back to see what else may be available on the market. These figures here in front of you are pretty much going to be top tier iterations of these three legendary Pokemon. But with that being said, they fetch astronomical prices, except for Palkia. We'll talk about maybe why in a minute. And quite frankly, if you're on the hunt to get these folks in your collection, they're very good, but they do come at a high price. Considering their age and the fact that, well, you're probably going to have some shelf damage, and a lot of it, there really needs to be a close, deep dive into them in 2021, not 2007, when some of these originally released. So let's take a look to see whether or not this trio is worth adding into your collection. Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. So for Dialga, I really do have to say that this one does look nice, and of the conditions for all of them, this one ranks second for me. Now, one thing to really keep a note about for this review is that, like I said, these are old, so there are going to be paint chips, there are going to be rubs on it, random red streaks here and there, there's going to be warping. So we're already looking at more than a decade old of stuff that was meant to be Toys R Us exclusives, rest in peace Boo Boo, and now here we are, and they've exchanged so many hands, and quite frankly, I'm surprised that so many of these even still exist. So please mind any of the paint scratches and so forth, and let's appreciate these for what they are. Now, getting back to the actual point here, Dialga does look very, very nice. Pretty much on point for the game model, and I do have to say that the overall paint application for what we can see here, because there's clearly a difference between scratches on this and rubs on it, and what was the actual paint application from when it left the factory. For the original price point, I think it was around 20 bucks. It doesn't really look all that bad. And the actual likeness of the in-game model, or sprite at the time, is actually fairly nice. If you are looking for a large in-charge Dialga, then this one is definitely going to be one to consider. The head is nice and long, as it should be. The crest on the chest, very spiky and very prominent, as one would expect of the diamond caliber. And I will say that the back fin that Dialga has is something to really keep in mind. This figure is notorious for being listed on eBay for around $20 to $30 without that back fin. So you may be able to find this for an affordable price, but it will be missing that fin. So it is definitely something to keep in mind. Overall though, Dialga here, very good if you're able to find it in a good condition. Palkia's turn, and if this video gets demonetized, this is going to be why. Now, Palkia, you can find this pretty much all over eBay, Mercari, Facebook groups, a dime a dozen. If you spend more than 30 bucks, even for, I would say, good condition, you're pretty much getting ripped off here because so many people liked Palkia, even competitively, over Dialga, and even at the time, Giratina, because you have the dragon and the water typing. I believe, if my memory serves correct, you only had Kingdra that had that typing at the time. So you had the Spatial Rend, you had what do you had? Aqua Tail. If you were going a physical, then you could do Surf if you wanted to. You could go a special set. You could do a mixed set. You could even just go a physical set and slap in Draco Meteor on it. I think it could learn Draco Meteor, if my memory serves correct. But anyway, I'm going off in grandpa mode here. Anyway, so Palkia, very common, and unfortunately for this one, Very, very, very much so a poster child of old figure getting scratched up. Palkia here is covered in scratches, and you can see some missing paint here and there, most notably on the face. And this is where I'm going to say we definitely do have to take into consideration when we're taking a look at some of these older figures for reviews and separate what may be damaged from the actual quality from when it leaves the factory. This guy here does unfortunately have some glue slop here and there, specifically on the right arm, the connection for that, I guess you might say, pearl plating. But otherwise, I do think that the quality for Palkia is rather rock solid. And if you are looking to get this particular one, the only thing that I would say is a bit detrimental is the pose. It almost looks like he's going to be an overall V. And if you're not a fan of that, then I don't know, maybe this one won't be for you, but this one is large and it is very intimidating once on the shelf. Giratina time. And depending, it sort of ebbs and flows. This one goes head to head with Dialga for what is going to be the most expensive. Giratina here with the wings, because the wings pop off, and I'm going to talk about the wings a bit more here in just a minute. With the wings, I've seen this top out at about $200, not in the box. Yeah, so this one can get very expensive. I haven't seen a Dialga go for that much yet, but when the prices come about, you see a nice, great condition Dialga versus a great condition Giratina, depending on what's going on. Yeah, they can go head to head for prices, but Giratina here is very, very good. One of the issues that I will say coming straight from the factory is that if you take a look on the chest, neck area, the stripes and the rings that go into the chest, they actually don't line up properly. So there was an issue there, at least particularly for this unit, with the mold. So it's something small, but something to keep in mind as well. And then also for the head, the crest, the left side, it looks like it was not pulled out of the mold correctly, and there's a little chunk that is missing. But otherwise, Giratina does look very good. There are a couple of other things that kind of went bump with this figure, most notably the tail. I mean, this thing is basically a dragon centipede, so the whole thing is sort of a tail depending on how you look at it. But the actual tail, which does swivel around as we will see in a bit, that has sort of gotten sticky, almost like it is made of vinyl or rubber. And that is something with that material over the years, if not stored correctly, is expected to get. So just something to keep in mind if you are looking to get this figure. Now, like Dialga, and the back fin, Giratina's wings can detach, so that is going to play in part as to why you may find this for relatively cheap, even as high as $60 without the wings. What also played a part is that the wings are fragile. You can see on mine here, right when I got it, there were stress marks on the joints, or closer to the joint, where the wings attach into the body. And other collectors have said this is sort of known affectionately, if you will, as the fragile wing Giratina. So if you are one who may, I don't know, drop your figures more than you'd like, or figures are prone to shelf diving, even something as bulky and as sturdy as this may not necessarily be the one that you want to look at. Yeah, there are other options out there, Banpresto and even Tomy vinyls, but quite frankly, maybe this is a bit of a spoiler for a video to come. Maybe you're going to want to wait for another version of this pocket monster. Now, to kind of take a look at articulation here, I am just sort of going through the ropes here for the 3 different dragons, and I'll just kind of draw this all out because I'm recording the audio separate from the video. Basically, just some swivels there. Neck moves around on some of them. Legs are going to move around. Arms, where applicable, i.e. Palkia, that's going to move around. Sort of disappointing for the tail region, basically just Giratina there. And you're also going to see that I do point out the different connection points for, most particularly Dialga and Giratina. So this way, you're not confused if it should come detached in any way, how to reattach them. Let's say the seller that you're going to get this from decides to detach that in the box. You can reattach it just fine with no issues. Now let's go ahead and move on over to a size comparison where you can see that these are in the 8-inch scale as billed originally by Jakks Pacific. So if you are thinking about picking these up, I think we're going to have to see a size comparison to be held later, maybe come back a little bit later, so make sure you click subscribe. That these are pretty much going to be the biggest Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina figures that are going to be on the market. Banpresto does have some large ones as well, but it's just something to keep in mind for right now. I've never put those two side by side, but we'll see soon enough. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. To just sort of ballpark it for you, a good condition Dialga can go upwards of $150, and that includes the back fin. A good condition Giratina can go upwards of $200 I have seen, and that's not including the box. Once we include the box, good night. I mean, keep in mind, this thing came out in like, what, 2008? Palkia, all day, every day, 30, 45 bucks, mint condition. I think I've only ever seen one mint condition Palkia in the whole time I've been collecting, so something to keep in mind. If you are a fanatic and you've got to have things in scale as close as you possibly can, this is basically going to be the choice for you. Now, there are going to be Banpresto ones of all three of these dragons that have been released, and I do believe they are similar scale. I've never had them side by side, but we will be seeing that comparison later. It's going to be the largest figure fight I have ever done, and I am so excited to do that once the Diamond and Pearl remakes launch. Stay subscribed for that. You're going to want to see it. But if you are looking to pick these up, I have to say, be prepared to go in for figures that are worth the original MSRP. I could stretch it out to being maybe about $70 max each. So if you get them all and they average out to be about that much, I could stomach that myself. I did not pay that much each, so I got lucky. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to throw that back to you. They're good, but not $200 without the box good. Just keep that in mind. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.